Before we jump into the actual steps of the organizing formula, there is one important thing that we need to figure out. Are you organized? Or rather, do you feel organized? You see, in order for us to identify any blind spots, we need to understand the status quo. It's hard for me to prescribe a cure if I don't know what the root cause is, so that's our first order of business here. And by knowing if you feel organized or not, it'll be pretty easy to see where the problem might lie. So to help you self-diagnose, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and all you have to do is answer yes or no, okay? And feel free to pause this video and take notes if necessary. Let's get started. Question 1. When thinking about your current home, do you know where most of your things are most of the time? Question 2. If you were to pick up a physical item in your home, would you know where to put it back after it's been used? Question 3. Would it take you less than 5 minutes to find something, could be anything, in your home? Question 4. When thinking about your calendar, do you feel like you have a handle on your schedule day to day? And question 5. If I were to look at your computer, would the desktop be clutter-free? If you answered yes to most of these questions, you probably feel fairly organized overall. That means that you have your core systems in place, even if you may not be able to articulate fully what they are or how they run yet. If you answered no to most of these questions, you likely lack some of your core systems. That means that you are trying to maintain workflows that do not exist, and that is an impossible task. But that's okay. Like I said in a previous lesson, we can fix that. Awareness is the first step here. So now let's go a bit deeper and let's see if you have the right or the wrong systems implemented. So just like before, I'm going to ask you a few questions and just answer yes or no. Whatever comes to mind is correct. Here we go. Question 1. Do you feel like you just own way too much stuff? Question 2. Do you find it difficult, meaning that it takes a lot of time or energy, to put things back after you use them? Question 3. Are things often scattered around the house despite the fact that you know where they need to go? Question 4. When thinking about your calendar, do you often feel overcommitted? And question 5. Do you ever feel frustration around not getting enough help from others? If you answered yes to most of these questions, we are dealing with bottlenecks. Either you have systems in place, but they are too complicated, or you simply need more help with the maintenance of those systems. Let me expand on this a bit. If you have items in your home and you don't know where they go, that means you haven't set up the system yet. We've covered that. However, if you know where things need to go, but they simply don't get there, that is a bottleneck, or what we call a maintenance issue. In other words, there's a stick in the wheel somewhere, and it could be that you are storing things in the wrong area. Think cookware in the closet. It could mean that your system is overly complicated, meaning that it involves too many steps for you to complete the workflow. Anytime we have a process that takes too much time and energy to maintain, we're not going to do it. It feels too heavy, we're going to skip it. It's just human nature. So the solution is then to simplify the process. Another common issue here is time management. Maybe you're not allowing yourself enough time to complete the workflow. You know, if you expect the earth to revolve around the sun in one day, that's just not going to happen. That process in particular needs a full year, so it needs to be somewhat realistic. Estimating time correctly is a very handy skill to learn because everything becomes so much easier when you accurately can predict how long things will take. It creates a lot of spaciousness on your calendar. I have a whole other course that can help you there, but more on that later. I digress. Another common issue here is that multiple people are involved in a system, but somebody is dropping the ball. It may not be you, but nonetheless, it affects you. This tends to happen a lot at home with family members, even though they mean well. You expect your kids to pick up after themselves and then they don't. And what happens? You get stuck doing it and it takes time away from something else. And this also happens a lot at work. Your colleague or coworker doesn't do their part on time and now you have to pick up the slack and voila, just like that, you're overcommitted. Happened to me at school all the time. I was always the kid doing the other kids' work because they couldn't get their act together. And I felt like I was getting punished for being efficient, and that wasn't cool at all. You know, I had a hard time articulating boundaries back then, and that's sometimes a big part of this too. Look, there could be many reasons why we have maintenance issues going on, and we can't possibly predict every scenario here. But the takeaway that I want you to have is, once again, awareness. You may have a system in place, but if it's not working for you correctly, then it needs adjusting. In order to find balance, we need to match up our current reality with our systems. So you can own as many shoes as you want, for example, but the amount of time, effort, space, and energy it takes to maintain that shoe closet will go up significantly the more you have. So it's easier to maintain a smaller closet because there are less variables to handle. And that's why decluttering works so well for so many people. You know, less variables to manage simplifies your system tremendously. And that goes for anything. The bigger your home, the more rooms you have to organize and maintain. The more maintenance is required, the more help you will need. Nothing wrong with going big and nothing wrong with staying small. Either way you go, that's your choice. But you need to learn how to match up the intensity of your systems with the current reality. If you are unrealistic about what it takes to maintain your systems, you will never find balance and you will always be overcommitted. And that's what we need to realize here. So I hope that this lesson has given you an idea of where you may be having trouble. If you need further help pinpointing the weak links in your system, feel free to reach out. But I hope that you can see that the systems thinking, that hat will greatly improve your chances of staying organized. So let's keep going. You're doing great here. We have plenty more aha moments to get to. So click through to the next video and I will meet you there.